The gardens have officially transitioned to summer, and the early June ritual of planting dahlias has already taken place. This ritual is always done with the utmost of care, for each of these dahlias are unique, not just for their beauty, but also for the stories they share. Dahlias, when grown correctly, can also be a sustainable garden practice for the eco-friendly gardener. The thoughtful placement and selection of dahlias can add so much value to our home gardens. Today's horticulturalist is faced with a different set of circumstances and challenges. Sustainability, unpredictable weather events, the economy, and invasive species are problems each horticulturalist must confront. Most gardeners are well aware of the carbon footprint of trying to grow annuals in New England. Annuals can be expensive, labor-intensive, and heartbreaking when you must dig them up only to toss them away into the compost pile each fall. Dahlias hit that sweet spot of giving you the showiness and long bloom time of an annual, yet the sustainability of a perennial. Although dahlias are not cold hardy in New England, they can be dug up after the first hard New England frost and stored in a basement. Then in early spring, they can be divided and planted all over again. Sustainability and supporting our local wildlife is very important to me, and that is why the majority of plants in my gardens are native to my ecoregion, right here in New England. I believe native plants should be the foundation of any garden, not just for their benefits to our local wildlife, but for their stunning beauty and their ability to honor our sense of place. Horticulture is as much as an art as it is a science, and art is all about expression. How do you choose to express yourself? For me, I discovered gardening because of my absolute love for the natural world. It makes me so happy. With large brushstrokes, a mural of Joe Pyeweed, Helenium, mountain mints, switchgrass, little bluestem, and butterfly weed dominate the space. Tucked in the corner of the garden, amongst all these wild native plants, a dahlia takes root and holds its own. I prefer to only grow older varieties of dahlias in the garden, such as the beautiful Thomas Edison. Named after the American inventor, it was first cultivated in 1929 and has been growing strong ever since. The David Howard dahlia makes a bold statement in the garden, with its dark leaves and bright orange flowers, guaranteed to brighten up any area of the garden. And my personal favorite is a dahlia from 1946, named after Debussy's beautiful music piece, Ode to Moonlight. Each of these simple yellow flowers resembling a tiny moon orbiting the hyssop and tall native grasses. Dahlias have another story to tell that goes far beyond American inventors and classical music. The dahlia as we know and love today can trace its roots all the way back to the forested mountains of Mexico and Guatemala. The Mexica, commonly known as the Aztecs, a name given to them by Europeans, called them acacocle. The dahlia, or acacocle, looked very different from the flowers that we now grow in our gardens today. These original dahlias, with their simple, elegant flowers growing along the sides of mountains, reached 20 feet or higher. Its long canes were used by the Mexica and other indigenous people to carry and transport water. In the 15th century, conquistadors from Spain arrived on the shores of the great Mexica Empire. The Spanish took many dahlia seeds back to Spain, along with the many riches they exploited from the Americas. These interactions between the Spanish and the Mexica meant the collapse of the Mexica's empire and certain doom for the many indigenous people in Central and South America. If we fast forward to the 18th century, we start to see horticulturalists at the Royal Botanical Gardens in Madrid turning out hundreds of hybrids of dahlias that start to resemble the dahlias we grow today. It was not until the late 19th century when over 50,000 named varieties of dahlias were cultivated, solidifying in our minds what we believe a dahlia to be today. While growing dahlias in the garden, my mind sometimes wanders to the indigenous people of Central America and the great Mexica Empire. What did acacocle mean to them? It's theorized that these plants could have been used as medicine or in religious practices. This summer, I invite you to witness the dahlias growing in your own garden or in others. While walking the garden paths, keep in mind this question: what does a dahlia mean to you? Perhaps the answer to this question are as numerous as petals on a dahlia flower. A flower can be a lens into the past and a tool to connect us to our sense of place. Can you see the whole world in a single flower?